Now here's Stephen looking ahead to tonight's sport.
Mel, Australia's woeful Wimbledon over. Sam Stosur KO'd in the second round. Crunch time for Carlton. Can they end their Hawthorn hoodoo? Back to the future for Demon Jack Watts. And Cool Hand Luke's old-fashioned Aussie remedy after that ride aboard Black Caviar.
Thanks, Stephen. Coming up in 10 News, the road ahead. The White Knights set to ride in and save cab drivers. And the union movement's fight to give Ned Kelly a decent burial.
Hi, I'm Ian Cohen, part of the only commercial TV news crew travelling all the way with the Tour de France right here to the finish in Paris. We'll have the latest on Australia's team, Orica Green Edge and Cadel Evans' title defence. Join me each night, 10 News at 5.
Cadel Evans' Tour de France title defence begins in Belgium on Saturday. An Australian team will also be competing for the first time with Green Edge saddling up. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the race for 10 News and caught up with a veteran Aussie rider who just keeps on pedalling.
Yeah, you're right. It's pretty hard to believe, isn't it? This man is saddling up for a record 16th Tour de France. His name is Stuart O'Grady, and of course he's going to be the captain on the road for the team Orica Green Edge. Stewie, obviously, congratulations on doing it again. But at this time, with a couple of days to go, do you still get a little bit nervous in the lead up to this race?
Not really nervous yet, but I guess you know you're at the Tour de France. The circus has already begun. You know, there's a lot more people around than the normal bike race. Yeah, so just excited.
The boys are working hard in the hotel car park here in Liège. Obviously, the mechanics working on the bikes. You're staying in the same hotel as Team BMC, Cadel Evans' team. Have you bumped into Cadel in the corridor? Is there a feeling that maybe you can do it again?
He really has stepped it up a notch. He's won the Tour, and I think that belief in yourself, that's certainly a big attribute to have coming into the Tour de France. Defending champion, he's got a great team around him. Brad Wiggins has obviously got the credentials for this year, but again, the Tour de France is a 3-week epic adventure and anything can happen and normally does.
Stewie, appreciate your time. Good luck starting Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Stuart O'Grady, the man, the veteran that is fronting up for the 16th time here for the Tour de France. He'll be leading the charge for Team Orica Green Edge.
Adelaide's Stuart O'Grady will lead Australian team Orica Green Edge in its first Tour de France beginning in Belgium on Saturday. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the race for 10 News and he caught up with the great man.
Yeah, you're right. It's pretty hard to believe, isn't it? This man is saddling up for a record 16th Tour de France. His name is Stuart O'Grady, and of course he's going to be the captain on the road for the team Orica Green Edge. Stewie, obviously, congratulations on doing it again. But at this time, with a couple of days to go, do you still get a little bit nervous in the lead up to this race?
Not really nervous yet, but I guess you know you're at the Tour de France. The circus has already begun. You know, there's a lot more people around than the normal bike race. Yeah, so just excited.
The boys are working hard in the hotel car park here in Liège. Obviously, the mechanics working on the bikes. You're staying in the same hotel as Team BMC, Cadel Evans' team. Have you bumped into Cadel in the corridor? Is there a feeling that maybe you can do it again?
He really has stepped it up a notch. He's won the Tour, and I think that belief in yourself, that's certainly a big attribute to have coming into the Tour de France. Defending champion, he's got a great team around him. Brad Wiggins has obviously got the credentials for this year, but again, the Tour de France is a 3-week epic adventure and anything can happen and normally does.
Stewie, appreciate your time. Good luck starting Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Stuart O'Grady, the man, the veteran that is fronting up for the 16th time here for the Tour de France. He'll be leading the charge for Team Orica Green Edge.
Cadel Evans' Tour de France title defence begins in Belgium on Saturday. An Australian team will also be competing for the first time, with Green Edge saddling up. Reporter Ian Cohen got the plum gig covering the race. I'm not jealous, and he's taken time out from sipping champagne to file this report. Well done, Ian.
This is Liège, certainly part of the industrial heartland of Belgium and the scene of the Grand Depart, the start of the Tour de France this weekend. For many of the teams staying here, they don't spend so long here in town. They get out to some of the beautiful villages and open spaces to stretch the legs to the west of town. That's exactly what Orica Green Edge did today. Matt Goss first and foremost amongst them. He's chasing stage victories and knows he could be part of history.
They've got the team here, the guys here. We've done a bit of recon over the course, and hopefully over the next few weeks we can create a bit of history for the first Aussie team to be racing the Tour de France. I've done a lot of big races, a lot of Grand Tours beforehand, so there's always a bit of pressure, and like you say, there's a bit of pressure for the stage wins, but we've really put together a perfect team for this race. Team that can win on all terrain, so I think that our goals aren't unrealistic.
The Aussie team also met the Australian ambassador here in Belgium. He wanted to shake hands and wish the boys luck. As for Cadel Evans, he stretched the legs with his team BMC as well. The team's presentation is on tonight here, Belgian time, and of course the prologue is Saturday.
Thank you, Ian. Probably took him all of half an hour to do that today, enjoying the good life there in Europe.
Cadel Evans' Tour de France title defence begins in Belgium this weekend, with the Australian rider highly fancied to go back-to-back in the world's greatest bike race. 10 reporter Ian Cohen was at the team's official presentation in Liège ahead of the prologue tomorrow night.
The moment has now arrived for Cadel Evans, with history beckoning and a chance to go back-to-back as he continues to build a legacy of one of the most decorated riders in the world.
Le champion Cadel Evans!
His BMC team was the last presented, but his chances are considered first-rate.
Still satisfying to think back 2011 we did it, but that's history now, and yeah, we look for 2012 and of course to repeat, ultimately to repeat.
Team Sky's British star Bradley Wiggins, the man seen as most likely to curtail Cadel. Debutantes Orica Greenedge also soaking up their place in presentation history.
This year I think it's going to be a lot different. They're going to be a lot of people come over to support the Greenedge team, the Orica Greenedge team, so I think it's going to be pretty special.
The Ryan family finally making the dream a reality.
Oh, very exciting, just to see the boys ride up on stage, to see the new outfit, and very proud.
Hosting the start of the Tour de France is worth millions of euros to Liège, and they certainly come out in numbers to support the race. There's 198 riders, including 12 Australians, and yes, there's already plenty of local support for them.
Stewie on his last tour.
The riders have 3 weeks ahead in what the locals call the Big Loop, with the prologue starting Saturday. Ian Cohen in Belgium, 10 News.
Well, Cadel Evans starts his Tour de France defence on the streets of Liège in Belgium tonight, and that is where we find Ian Cohen. Ian, it seems it's Australia versus Britain with Bradley Wiggins, the slight favourite and oozing in confidence.
Yeah, good morning to you from Belgium, Rob. He certainly is oozing in confidence at the moment. Let's remember that if he does win, Bradley Wiggins' dad was actually an Aussie as well, so we'll be claiming that. But it's very difficult to predict a 2-horse race. There was 196 other riders in the competition as well. I spoke with Cadel Evans yesterday. His media conference was absolutely packed. Lots of international media and, of course, plenty of the Aussie contingent in there as well. But it seems that Bradley Wiggins is the man who's certainly talking it up.
I mean, I don't think I've ever been this good. All the stuff we've been doing this week, now we're fresh, suggests that I'm in the form of my life.
I've never gone head to head with Wiggins in a 3-week tour, so I'm guessing we'll be in for a good battle.
So they're the two that the bookies are certainly favouring at the moment, but it is certainly wide open. Let's have a look at the Australian team, Orica Greenedge, the team that the Prime Minister calls the Golden Dozen, the Golden 12. They're hoping to maybe snare a couple of stage wins, maybe get Matt Goss in green, and Simon Gerrans is always a danger.
Our days will come once the GC has settled down a little bit, and like I said, a few more opportunities arrive for the breakaways.
And as you can see, we're right in amongst the television compound here. The situation in Liège, it's absolutely enormous. This is a travelling circus that breaks down and reforms every single day as it travels around the big lap, nearly 4,000 Ks around France and also Belgium. Now, Simon Gerrans, he'll be the second rider off at 2:01 local time. That's about 4 hours. Cadel Evans will be the last rider. That will be at 5:17 local time. Rob, tomorrow when I talk to you, we'll have someone in yellow from here in Belgium.
Looking forward to it. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Ian Cohen from Liège. Well, the Tour de France is underway with defending champ Cadel Evans finishing 17 seconds off the pace in the prologue. Ian Cohen is our man on the ground in Belgium. Ian, Cadel sits 13th at the moment, but it's very early days.
Yeah, look, he certainly did. It is early days, Rob, absolutely. We've got another 3,500 kilometres to travel around Belgium and, of course, France as well. Today's stage takes us down towards Luxembourg. We'll get to that in just a moment. But have a look at the eyes of the defending champion as he was warming up, Cadel Evans. He was like a caged lion, just rolling backwards and forwards. He was the last rider to leave the stage here at Liège and then scorched around the 6.5 kilometre track. But he is 17 seconds down on Cantarella, who is for the 22nd time in yellow after having a fall in April at the Tour of Flanders. So good news for Cantarella. As for Evans, well, he says, I only want to be in yellow on one occasion.
Ultimately, you take it the day before Paris like last year, but I don't know if that's going to be possible this year. We'll take it one day at a time, and now 17 seconds down, we're a little way off it just yet.
Brett Lancaster was the best of the Aussies. Now, he was 11 seconds behind the leader and finished in 6th. So that's certainly a good start for Orica Green Edge. His teammate Simon Gerrans had a sneak preview of today's 198 kilometre stage.
Yeah, I'll try and be around the mark, but it's going to be the really crucial part. It's going to be positioning with a couple of K to go. There's a steep little climb there, and if you start that in great position, then you're every chance of going for the win.
So today's stage will get underway from here at Liège. It doesn't finish all that far away, but it is a big loop of 198 kilometres going to the south of this certainly industrial town here in Belgium. We'll have more details for you tomorrow, Rob.
All right, look forward to it. Thank you, Ian. Ian Cohen in Liège.
Well, Cadel Evans remains well placed in his Tour de France title defence, heading into stage 2, 17 seconds behind the overall leader, Fabian Cancellara. Reporter Ian Cohen joins us from Visa in Belgium now, and Ian, Australia's team Green Edge is eyeing its first ever stage win tonight.
Yes, you're quite right. Tonight's stage certainly gives the Orica Green Edge boys another opportunity to just refine that sprint train a little and also the run to the line. It's 207 kilometres from Vizay to Tournai. And Cadel Evans, his fight continues. Let's have a look at how stage 1 unfolded.
The 198-kilometre stage through Belgium looked hard enough, and that was without the man-made obstacles.
There was a bottle, in fact, and he just manages to correct it.
For the most part, Cadel Evans kept out of trouble. Not so compatriot Michael Rogers, who was involved in the first of 2 crashes. The second, caused by a spectator, turned very amateur photographer.
He should not have been there.
Australia's cycling team Green Edge picked up its first points in the intermediate sprint.
Matt Goss may have got it on the line there, not Greipel. Matt Goss, the Orica Green Edge.
It was a bit of a test of the waters, I guess, to see who was going for the intermediates, and all the main rivals for the sprints were having a go there, so it was nice to get the better of them.
There were plenty of superhuman performances on stage 1 as a breakaway group of 6 moved more than 4 minutes clear before the peloton declared war.
I'm not sure whether that's one of Napoleon's old soldiers who got left behind.
The breakaway caught 10 kilometres from the finish as Tour debutant Peter Sagan claimed victory.
And Sagan is coming clear to get his first stage win at the first attempt.
Fabian Cancellara remains in yellow, 17 seconds ahead of 8th placed Evans. Luke Schneider, 10 News.
Channel 10's Ian Cohen is in Vizay and joins us now with a little bit of a delay. Ian, there seems to be a great crowd there. How's the vibe?
Oh, look, the vibe is amazing, Carrie, and you're quite right. The great crowd. People turn out in huge numbers. And when I say they turn out, there's 800,000 to 1 million people line the Tour route every single day. It's almost dangerous driving through them. You've sort of got to weave and turn. For the riders, obviously, they certainly have to watch out as well. But it's like 8 or 10 MCGs full of people all the way along. And there's a whole parade that goes in front of the riders, goes 2 hours in front. 180 vehicles in that. They throw out 15 million free things as well. So all these people line up there and they get hats and scarves and coats and everything else like that. It's an amazing, crazy place, like Moomba on steroids in front of the riders.
Now, Coz, I'm getting the impression this is a big deal now. Can Cadel go back to back? The pressure's on. How's he going?
Yeah, look, Cadel at the moment sits 17 seconds behind Fabian Cancellara, who's in yellow. Of course, he's a great rider, 23rd time in yellow. Cadel 17 seconds behind him. That's no particular drama, but Bradley Wiggins is only 7 seconds behind Cancellara, so there's a 10-second gap there. Bradley Wiggins rides for the Sky team. He's one of the guys that's going to be a genuine chance to take it off Cadel, and he's half a... was an Aussie, so if he wins, we'll half claim him. If he loses, then he's just one of those Brits.
Well, we're all behind him back at home, Koza. Thanks so much for your time.
What a great event that is. Just brilliant.
Well, Team Sky rider Mark Cavendish has underlined his standing as the world's best road sprinter, securing his 21st career Tour de France stage win overnight. Cavendish pipped Australian Green Edge rider Matt Goss in a thrilling finish, and reporter Ian Cohen is covering the Tour for 10 News. And Ian, Goss will fancy his chances though in tonight's third stage.
Yes, tonight's stage 3, is one that the Orica Green Edge boys put a whole lot of reconnaissance into just to try and get it right. They reckon Matt Goss might be able to go one or maybe even two better than he did on stage 2. It's 197 kilometres from Orchy to Boulogne-sur-Mer on the French seaside. That's where the Channel Tunnel goes across to England. But first up, let's have a look at stage 2.
With the wounds from stage 1 on show, riders enjoyed a trouble-free day tracking 207 kilometres across Belgium. The relatively flat stage expected to favour the sprinters, including the great Mark Cavendish and his #1 fan.
Well, there we go. And we're talking about the man from the Isle of Man.
A breakaway of 3 skipped more than 6 minutes clear, but the trio was always looking in the rearview mirror. Dressed in yellow, overall leader Fabian Cancellara gave bottleneck a new meaning.
No panic at all on the Fabian Cancellara Express.
Defending champ Cadel Evans and the peloton limbered up for the run to the line, reeling in the breakaway with ease. The sprint finished with a familiar ending.
A final kick by Mark Cavendish. Is the missile going to hit his target for the 21st time? And yes, he does.
Cavendish outlasting Andre Greipel and Green Edge rider Matt Goss.
Good start, I guess. Not ideal. Would have been nice to have ticked off a couple of, or jumped a couple of steps higher on the podium.
Little movement at the top. Cancellara stays in yellow. Evans still 17 seconds behind in 8th spot. Luke Schneider, 10 News.
So Mark Cavendish, the man from Manx, still proving he's the fastest man on the planet. Cadel Evans, well, he's still sitting sort of one out and one back, but the title defence is alive and well. Let's see what happens on stage 3 tonight.
Well, the good news is Ian Cohen joins us now. He had to go and get another glass of champagne, but he's over there, and we're going to get the latest on the Tour de France. Ian is standing by. Ian, very nice of you to take some time out from eating cheese and sipping champagne. Before we get on to your junket, how are the Aussies going in La Tour?
The sound of sweet bitterness in your voice, Bradley. I can hear it from here. But Le Tour for the Aussies is not going too badly. The way it sits at the moment is Cancellara is the man in yellow. Bradley Wiggins, who's Cadel's main opponent, the Englishman, he's 7 seconds behind. And then Cadel Evans is another 10 seconds behind him. So that's the way it stands at the moment. You can certainly lose a Grand Tour in the first week, but as far as winning a Grand Tour, well, you can't do that. So they're all just wanting to hang in there at the moment. They're a little bit nervous. The riders are just having to settle things down at the moment. Now, as far as Orica Green Edge goes, they were hoping Matt Goss would be able to win yesterday's stage. Today, though, they're really hoping here at Boulogne-sur-Mer that he might be able to outpoint the likes of Sagan to come up this hill. It's quite a steep rise up to the top of Boulogne-sur-Mer, and they're hoping that maybe he can get the first stage win for Orica Green Edge.
Cozy, we're hearing all sorts of things about what you're getting up to over there. How are you settling into the French lifestyle?
Well, I tell you what, the French lifestyle, as you know, Hamish, is fairly relaxed, but this place goes absolutely nuts for the Tour de France. It's amazing to see, and there are people just lining. Today's stage is 197 kilometres, and they line all the 197 Ks through villages, up and down hills, through the valleys. They go absolutely mad, and you drive through some villages, and they're just sipping a nice little cafe in there, or maybe having a nice little glass of vino as they're coming through. There's a huge merchandising thing. They give out this sort of stuff as well. Have a look at this sort of hat. So millions of them go out, and this is actually what the young rider gets. This is the Skoda prize. So there you go. I'm just about ready to go. Maybe I'm the best young rider or best merchandise. I'll have more for you later. Good look, though.
Excellent. Really good.
Australian Green Edge rider Simon Gerrans escaped relatively unharmed despite a nasty crash in what proved a testing third stage at the Tour de France overnight. Reporter Ian Cohen joins us live from the start of stage 4. And Ian, what can riders expect tonight?
Well, Rob, they can certainly expect a fairly windy encounter because we're here at Albertville, a population of 25,000 people. As you can see, most of them have turned out for the start. They'll then head down the northwestern coast of France before turning inland to get to Rouen. It's about 214 kilometres. Orica Green Edge is certainly still chasing that first stage win. Fabian Cancellara will start a fifth day in yellow, and Peter Sagan has certainly been the story of the tour so far. We had plenty of carnage yesterday. We lost 2 riders. Let's have a look at how stage 3 unfolded.
With Belgium behind them, riders travelled 197 kilometres from the east to the wicked west of France. There was the occasional stop for directions, as plenty wanted a close-up look of the 5-man breakaway. They skipped more than 4 minutes clear, leaving a trail of carnage behind.
Fortunately, it wasn't a high-speed fall, so they should be OK.
That was the most minor crash of the day. There were plenty more.
No, there's a big crash. Well, that's happened at the back, and we're looking at the front. That is amazing.
Further down the road, Australian Green Edge rider Simon Gerrans came to grief.
Oh, crash.
Gerrans flung from his bike into barbed wire fencing.
Well, you're sort of just probably more in shock from landing on your head at 60k now than anything else. And I couldn't get my arm out until actually someone else hit the barbed wire fence and give it a rattle, and then I was able to sort of get my arm out of there. But yeah, there's only a couple of scratches. I look like I've been attacked by a wild cat, I think.
With plenty of Aussie support, Cadel Evans again stayed out of trouble. He's 7th overall, 17 seconds behind leader Fabian Cancellara. Rising star Peter Sagan took the win.
Sagan is coming clear to win his second stage.
2 out of 3 ain't bad for the man nicknamed Forrest Gump, hence the running celebrations. Luke Schneider, 10 News.
Australian rider Simon Gerrans escaped relatively unharmed despite a nasty crash in what proved a testing third stage at the Tour de France. With Belgium conquered, the race is now firmly on French soil, and that's where we find reporter Ian Cohen.
Well, while plenty of the spectators are enjoying some of the famous French hospitality, for the riders, they're gearing up for stage 4. 214 k's from Abbeville to Rouen. It's the third longest stage on the tour. Stage 3, Peter Sagan again dominated. Simon Gerrans lucky to escape after being catapulted through a fence. Let's have a look at the stage 3 highlights.
With Belgium behind them, riders travelled 197 kilometres from the east to the wicked west of France. There was the occasional stop for directions, as plenty wanted a close-up look of the 5-man breakaway. They skipped more than 4 minutes clear, leaving a trail of carnage behind.
Fortunately, it wasn't a high-speed fall, so they should be OK.
That was the most minor crash of the day. There were plenty more.
No, there's a big crash. Well, that's happened at the back, and we're looking at the front. That is amazing.
Further down the road, Australian Green Edge rider Simon Gerrans came to grief.
Oh, crash.
Gerrans flung from his bike into barbed wire fencing.
Well, you're sort of just probably more in shock from landing on your head at 60k now than anything else. And I couldn't get my arm out until actually someone else hit the barbed wire fence and give it a rattle, and then I was able to sort of get my arm out of there. But yeah, there's only a couple of scratches. I look like I've been attacked by a wild cat, I think.
With plenty of Aussie support, Cadel Evans again stayed out of trouble. He's 7th overall, 17 seconds behind leader Fabian Cancellara. Rising star Peter Sagan took the win.
Sagan is coming clear to win his second stage.
2 out of 3 ain't bad for the man nicknamed Forrest Gump, hence the running celebrations. Luke Schneider, 10 News.
So Fabian Cancellara is still the man in yellow. He's still got that 7-second buffer to Wiggins, and then Cadel Evans 17 seconds in arrears. But it's early on. It's only the first week of the Tour de France.
Cadel Evans remains well placed in his Tour de France title defence, staying well clear of the stage 4 carnage, which saw Sprint King Mark Cavendish come to grief. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the Tour and finds himself in the north of France. Ian.
Yes, you're right. This is the town of Rouen. At one time, it was called the town of 100 steeples by Victor Hugo, and you can see exactly why. It's got the rare privilege in this Tour de France of hosting a start and also a finish. Today's start right here will then head 196 kilometres almost due east to end up at St Quentin. Again, it's going to be a fairly flat stage and one for the sprinters. Now, there was a couple of sprinters came down at the finish yesterday. That was coming into town on this side, and just inside the 3K mark, a few of them went down, including Mark Cavendish. Let's have a look at the stage 4 highlights. The northern coast of France provided a picturesque backdrop as the 215-kilometre fourth stage saw riders make their way from Abbeville to Rouen. A three-man breakaway skipped 8 minutes clear of the field. And while the peloton chased hard to eventually bridge the gap, these two clearly had a better plan.
Well, everybody getting into the excitement.
Cadel Evans continues to stay out of trouble in his quest for back-to-back yellow jerseys. Rain began to fall 50 kilometres from the finish line. It caused a few minor hiccups and one major one.
Oh, they've gone down. Again, Mark Cavendish has gone down. Cavendish is in the middle of that one at the moment.
Sprint king Mark Cavendish able to dust himself off after the crash 2.7 kilometres from home. It left Andre Greipel to take stage 4 honours.
Right, Greipel has won this. Pataki can't go round him. Greipel, Pataki on the line.
No, it seems to be a bit of a common thing. There's a crash in the last few kilometres. Unfortunately, I think it was only 1 or 2 positions behind me, and I've seen the guys go down. You know, at the end of the day, we picked up some more points, and the guys rode well.
So it seems there's still a few nervous riders in the peloton. As for Evans, Cadel, well, he's still 17 seconds in arrears. The Tour de France will have more for you tomorrow night.
There's been some pretty big developments tonight with regards to one Lance Armstrong.
This has been a huge story, we know that, and it's taken a real twist, and it also involves Cadel Evans' right-hand man, George Hincapie, as well. He, along with 4 others, are allegedly willing to testify that they doped with Lance Armstrong. Ian Cohen joins us now from the Tour de France, where Hincapie is currently riding. Ian, what's prompted this stunning turn of events?
Brad, it's been an amazing morning because we woke up obviously to the news that a Dutch newspaper had gone public with this, and it may well rock not only the Tour but certainly Cadel Evans' hopes of a title defence, because George Hincapie has ridden 19 tours. He's been doing it for 19 years and he rode each of Lance Armstrong's wins. He also won with Alberto Contador and he won with Cadel Evans last year. He's like a bodyguard, a right-hand man, George Hincapie. He's certainly a veteran of the Tour, and he knows exactly how to try and keep his main man safe. So this is certainly going to have an impact on Cadel Evans. Now, Jonathan Vorter, who was the general manager of Lance Armstrong's team, he issued a statement at the start of today. We're at the finish at St Quintin at the moment, but he issued a statement at the start saying that really there was no truth to it at all. There was no 6-month deal done, and they're completely denying anything like that at the moment. At this stage, Hincapie's been very quiet, had said nothing. So too the other riders, and obviously for Cadel Evans, he hasn't said anything about it either.
So, Ian, that's all about Lance Armstrong and the Tour, but on a very personal level, Cadel Evans' Olympic plans have been thrown into disarray.
Yeah, this is quite sad, Brad, because in actual fact, he's this young boy he calls a little man, Rebel, who's a 20-month-old baby he adopted from Ethiopia. Well, because he's still travelling on an Ethiopian passport, he's been denied visas to get into the UK to watch his dad race in the Olympics. So it's a really disappointing story. Obviously, the Evans family are fairly upset about it, and they've tweeted the like saying that, look, they're very, very disappointed. Visa issues have been ongoing, though, for young Rebel, and it's something that they're going to have to sort out, obviously, if they want to travel further with him in the future. But that's disappointing for Cadel on a personal level. The Lance Armstrong story is certainly a big, big story here. And obviously, as far as Cadel Evans goes, the George Hincapie factor in that could well have an impact on Cadel's race.
Yeah, a lot to talk about there at the Tour de France, Ian. Thank you. We really appreciate your time.
Australia remains a realistic chance of winning the Tour de France yellow and green jerseys, with Cadel Evans and sprinter Matt Goss both well placed after 5 stages. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the Tour for 10 years and, like the riders, is particularly looking forward to tonight's stage. Ian.
Yes, I'm certainly going to be enjoying tonight's stage because it starts in Epernay, the French champagne capital, 30,000 acres under vine, making that wonderful French bubbly stuff. It'll then travel 207 k's across the northwest of France to the town of Metz. As for last night's stage, so close yet so far again for Orica Green Edge. Cadel Evans with plenty on his mind, and you can feel the underlying tension regarding the Lance Armstrong doping allegations here at the Tour de France. Let's have a look at stage 5. The day began in controversy with Cadel Evans' BMC teammate George Hincapie confirming he's testified against 7-time winner Lance Armstrong for alleged doping.
You know, I'm just disappointed that this is being brought up once again. Cadel obviously is focused on winning the Tour, and I'm here to try to help him do that, and I'm going to continue to do that and try not to let anything get in my mind besides that.
Riders headed due east on the 196-kilometre 5th stage. Again, it proved hungry work for the peloton, which was forced to chase a 4-man breakaway. Overall leader Fabian Cancellara, mellow in yellow.
A big kiss to my family.
At one stage, the field trailed the breakaway by more than 4 minutes, but the gap was bridged despite a hiccup 3 kilometres from the finish.
And there's a crash in the peloton, we can hear. There it is.
American sprinter Tyler Farrar was the main casualty, crashing for the 4th time in 5 days. A furious Farrar storming a rival team's bus after the race. As the stage reached its crescendo, the leading quartet was nabbed in the final few hundred metres. Green Edge rider Matt Goss within a whisker of the stage win.
This is Matt Goss who pushes his way to the line. Greipel kicks again. Cavendish, Greipel, Goss, and they were the order over the line.
And very shortly we'll be getting into the hills. That's coming across the weekend. We'll have more for you from the Tour de France.
The Tour de France hits the hills tonight with Cadel Evans expected to make a move. Ian Cohen is our man in France. And Ian, after a handful of stages, the sprinters, this really should be the one to test Evans.
Yeah, bonjour to you, Matt. You join us in a suburb of Nancy, of course, that town famously on the end of the N4 out of Paris to the eastern side of France. And the suburb is Tomblain. As you can see, the crowd is already gathering in behind me. They've got 199 Ks, and it is going to get a little bit lumpy today. The mountains are going to come into play. Let's have a look at yesterday's stage, so overnight Australian time. And this guy, well, he was more interested in splashes rather than crashes. But unfortunately, we did have a big crash on the way through yesterday, and that took out a couple of the key names in Ryder Heiserdale and also Frank Schleck. They certainly lost a fair bit of time. Cadel Evans' BMC team, well, they've been keeping him nice and dry. They've been keeping him safe, and when I spoke to him, he said that the mountains are going to be his time to shine. That's where he wants to make an impact.
Normally the first mountain sort of gives a good indicator of you know, who is climbing well, and therefore who will be there for also the other mountain. But also for me, it's maybe an opportunity to make some time. Hopefully, that's ultimately yeah, it's going to be an interesting race.
But it wasn't all good news for the Aussies. Orica Green Edge, Matt Goss was again so close yet so far. Andre Greipel's team had told them on the road that they weren't going to sprint. In the end, that was a bluff. Peter Sagan has certainly been the story of this tour. But as for Matt Goss, he admitted that he went too early. He went at the 200-metre mark, and he was obviously very frustrated with his efforts.
So I pulled alongside Greipel. Started going to beat on the wheel for 100 metres, and he stepped straight off Greipel and went straight past, and I missed time in the sprint. I stuffed it up.
We've got 199 Ks to go from here at Tomblain. We're going to a place called La Planche de Belles Filles, which is basically translated as the board of beautiful girls. So let's hope that we might find something interesting there. As far as the stage behind me, you can see the riders will be signing on there very shortly, and then they'll be getting underway for their 200-kilometre jaunt. But the mountains are in play. I'll have more details tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Ian Cohen. We'll leave you with those beautiful girls there in France. Cadel Evans has moved up to second in the Tour de France after the first mountain stage. Ian Cohen is covering the race in France. And Ian, his main rival, Bradley Wiggins, is now the yellow man leading the way.
Yeah, good morning to you, Matt. You're coming to us from the city of Belfort, which is right over in the east of France. And you're right, Bradley Wiggins is the man in yellow. The race is on in earnest between Wiggins and Cadel Evans now, and they're going to be going head-to-head for the next couple of days. But on stage 7, it was a couple of Aussies that helped undo Cadel, with Richie Porte and also Michael Rogers on the front of the Sky team and really helping Bradley Wiggins work hard. Now, the final climb they came to, Cadel Evans had to work pretty much isolated by himself. It was a monstrous climb, almost 20%. I tried to walk back down the hill and almost stumbled and fell over. It was like a wall. Chris Froome was the man who won. A perfect day for Sky Racing. And as far as Bradley Wiggins was concerned, well, he was paying tribute to his Aussie teammates about being in yellow.
You know, the goal this morning was to just use Mick and use Richie as long as possible. And I didn't think we'd get rid of Cadel on such a short climb. Just fights all the way. And so the priority today was to not lose any time to Cadel and take the jersey, which we did. And obviously Chris won the stage as well, so great day. It's a childhood dream of mine, really. Now I'm here in this position, it's great.
So there you go. I told you he was pretty happy about it. We go from Belfort today to Parenti. It is 157 kilometres. There's 5 climbs in it. One's a Category 1, so they're going to be up and down hills all day long. It's going to be some pretty heavy weather too. The rain has been around today. We'll have more details for you tomorrow. It's on for young and old.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Ian Cohen there in France.
Cadel Evans remains in second place, just 10 seconds off the pace after 8 stages at the Tour de France. Evans trails Bradley Wiggins, but he's hoping to snatch the yellow jersey in tonight's crucial time trial. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the Tour.
Yes, you're right. Tonight's stage is what the riders call a test of truth, a 41.5 kilometre time trial to Besançon in the east of France. The first rider will leave the ramp at 9:45 local time. They'll then go in 2-minute increments until the last 20 riders, who have a 3-minute gap. Cadel Evans and Bradley Wiggins expected to feature prominently. They pretty much rode together from France into Switzerland on stage 8. Let's have a look at the highlights. Stage 8 from the east of France into Switzerland was always going to be brutal. Sammy Sanchez's pain coming even before the mountains. The reigning Olympic champion out of the Tour.
But Sanchez, well, he's in tears.
Yellow jersey leader Bradley Wiggins continues to get a helping hand from his Team Sky, while the thin mountain air clearly does some strange things to people in this neck of the woods. Even the horses have issues.
Well, at least they've got it right, Paul, and it just reflects on the fact Swiss timing as well.
The youngest man in the field, Thibaut Pinot, timed his run to perfection, breaking free to claim the stage win, much to the delight of his enthusiastic team manager. Cadel Evans attempted to bridge the 10-second gap to Wiggins.
Now that is an incredible move by Evans.
But he was caught in the final stages, sharing the same time as Wiggins, despite finishing outright second.
But obviously Sky have showed for this period of the race at least that they've got the team in the mountains at full capacity.
I think for the win I can't go past Wiggo or Cadel. I think it's going to be a two-man bike race for the GC and also for tomorrow.
So the general classification, the yellow remains about the same, but tonight it is going to hurt. It's the time trial.
Cadel Evans has vowed to fight to the end despite a disappointing time trial overnight. Evans remains second overall at the Tour de France, but he now trails Bradley Wiggins by almost 2 minutes, heading into a much-needed rest day. Reporter Ian Cohen has more.
Well, yes, you are right. Officially in the race book, tonight is listed as a rest day, but no such notion exists because we certainly won't be putting our feet up in the hotel you can see behind us, and neither will the riders. They'll tick over 100 to 120 k's just to roll the legs over on the rest day. For Team BMC, they'll be trying to work out how to get Cadel Evans back into this race. Let's have a look at how the time trial unfolded. 178 riders took part in the time trial, but only 2 really mattered. Defending champ Cadel Evans was second last to head off.
He sprints into the corridor of noise now.
Right behind him, yellow jersey leader Bradley Wiggins, a specialist at this form of racing. And while the Aussie showed plenty of cheek early, the time gap widened the longer the stage went on.
It's a tough day for Cadel Evans, I fear.
By the end, Evans had clocked the 6th fastest time. Wiggins, by far the quickest on the day, extended his overall lead to 1 minute 53.
The stage victory will be for him. He's going to increase his lead tonight.
I felt great today. The minute I turned the first pedal stroke on the warm-up, it was fantastic. So I knew I was on a good one.
Fight till the end and don't give up. That continues, and it's not hasn't been optimal so far. The Tour, and it's 153 down or something. It's not the best position to be in compared to last year. Being 2 seconds down was a lot more realistic. We don't give up, that's for sure. We don't give up.
Now, while Cadel Evans is certainly disappointed, have a look at these pictures. We shot them just as his wife Chiara and his son Rebel turned up at the BMC team bus, and for Cadel Evans, his face absolutely lit up. He loves being a family man. He's relishing that. Chiara didn't want to talk on camera, but she is here just for a couple of days supporting her husband as he tries to get back into this bike race. He'll be doing so on stage 10. I'll talk to you from there.
Cadel Evans has told 10 News he will fight to the end, despite a disappointing time trial overnight. Evans remains second overall at the Tour de France, but he now trails Bradley Wiggins by almost 2 minutes. Ian Cohen has more.
178 riders took part in the time trial, but only 2 really mattered. Defending champ Cadel Evans was second last to head off.
He sprints into the corridor of noise now.
Right behind him, yellow jersey leader Bradley Wiggins, a specialist at this form of racing. And while the Aussie showed plenty of cheek early, the time gap widened the longer the stage went on.
It's a tough day for Cadel Evans, I fear.
By the end, Evans had clocked the 6th fastest time. Wiggins, by far the quickest on the day, extended his overall lead to 1 minute 53.
The stage victory will be for him. He's going to increase his lead tonight.
I felt great today. The minute I turned the first pedal stroke on the warm-up, it was fantastic. So I knew I was on a good one.
Fight till the end and don't give up. that continues, and you know, it's not hasn't been optimal so far. The tour, and it's 153 down or something. It's not the best position to be in compared to last year. Being 2 seconds down was a lot more realistic. We don't give up, that's for sure. We don't give up.
And while Cadel Evans might be disappointed, have a look at the smile that came onto his face when his wife Kiara and his son Rebel turned up at the Team BMC bus after the race. He's relishing being a family man. His wife didn't want to talk on camera, but she is here supporting her husband and obviously hoping he can get back into the race come stage 10. Ian Cohen in France for 10 News.
French rider Remy Di Gregorio has been kicked out of the Tour de France after being arrested overnight following the first doping allegations of this year's race. It was a rest day for riders, but even that proved thirsty work for Cadel Evans' son. Second overall, Evans believes leader Bradley Wiggins is vulnerable.
He doesn't have much of a history over 3 weeks when you compare him to someone like me or Menchov or Nibali even. Most of the other riders in the first 10. So Wiggins, we don't know.
Evans trails Wiggins by 1 minute 53 with the race heading into the Alps tonight. Meantime, Australian rider Matt Lloyd has withdrawn from the race with a broken elbow. Lloyd was one of a record contingent of 12 Aussie riders at this year's tour, and reporter Ian Cohen has taken a closer look at how our riders are mixing it with the world's best.
For Australian cycling, the defending champion is clearly the most recognised name in the sport. But that means nothing to those who share his heritage, but not his team colours.
I guess at the end of the day, it's your job, and it's to topple Cadel. It's what you get paid to do, and there is always a bit of a healthy respect there between the Aussies.
40 Australian riders have pedalled the big lap, none more than Stuart O'Grady, who's in his 16th tour.
There's just so much more Australian hype around the tour. A few years ago we were lucky to see an Aussie flag on the side of the road, and now we're here with the defending champion in our own team.
There are 12 Australian riders spread over 7 teams this year, sharing a unique brotherhood.
Every now and then you tend to help out the Aussie guys, mainly because there's a general rapport there that you don't have with the other ones, but nonetheless from time to time I think we can manage to help each other out on a different level, so it's beneficial.
There's a little bit of time for catch up, and especially on the last day running to Paris where it's relatively calm and then easy going, we always manage to get an Australian photo done every year.
But maybe the final word on our French Foreign Legion should go to the man who became the first non-European to ever wear the leader's yellow jersey here in France. In 1981, that's exactly what Phil Anderson did, helping pioneer an Aussie assault on the world's biggest bike race.
It'd be a dream come true. Like I never would have thought I would have seen an Australian team over here, let alone an Australian on the Champs-Élysées in the yellow like we did last year.
In France, Ian Cohen, 10 News.
Sport. Yeah, we're going to head straight to France. Hamish, defending Tour de France champion Cadel Evans will tonight hope to cut into Bradley Wiggins' lead as the riders head into the high mountains for the first time. Ian Cohen is our man on the ground. Ian, many think this is where Cadel has the wood on Wiggins.
Absolutely, Brad. Good evening to you and good morning here in France. But you're quite right, because if he can climb efficiently and climb well, then maybe he can get back inside that 1 minute 53 advantage that the Brit has at the moment. Good news, though, for Australia on today's stage to here at Belgrade. We've actually got Simon Gerrans and Matt Goss from Orica Greenedge in a 25-man breakaway. Gerrans, we know, is a former Tour de France stage winner. He can do it in the mountains, and let's hope that there might be some success for him today. They're currently 6.5 minutes ahead of the peloton. But for Wiggins and for Cadel, it's really become a 2-horse race for that general classification. Cadel, though, has questioned whether Bradley Wiggins has got the stamina to go the full 3 weeks. Now, when I asked Wiggins about that, well, he replied in glowing terms about the Australian.
Yeah, I don't for 1 minute underestimate Cadel and what he's capable of doing. I mean, we're in a dream scenario at the moment, almost 2 minutes on him. We saw how he won last year, so I expect to fight every inch of the way to Paris.
And Ian, disappointingly, it hasn't taken long for the Tour to have its first drug scandal.
Yeah, look, this was disappointing, but most of the people on the tour have just been getting on with business. As you can see, this is the front page of the paper. It hasn't taken it all up. There's Remy over there. So it's just really a small item in the French papers and obviously for a lot of the TV networks as well. He's been a part of the Cofidis team, but police have been watching him for the last couple of years since he was with Astana. He was arrested on the rest day along with two other colleagues who weren't part of the team. But the drug scandal does just continue to roll along as a bit of an undercurrent there. Cofidis was a team that in 2007 was booted out of the tour, and Bradley Wiggins was actually a part of the Cofidis team way back then. Now, as far as that goes, well, that's certainly very, very disappointing. We're here, though, in Bellegarde. Bellegarde's one of the towns that actually bid for the race, and they pay about €90,000 to have the race here. So the people of Bellegarde are certainly enjoying it. But, Brad, I'll talk to you tomorrow night. Hopefully we might have an Aussie stage winner by then.
We'll wait and see. I think you're enjoying it too. Good on you. Thanks to Ian Cohen there at the Tour de France. We'll have more sport after the break.
Cadel Evans will hope to pinch some time back off leader Bradley Wiggins when the Tour de France continues through the Swiss Alps tonight. Evans failed to gain any ground on Wiggins during stage 10. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the race, which is preparing to head through a town with some rich sporting history.
Yes, you're right. Tonight's stage has certainly got a bit of an Olympic feel to it. It leaves from Albertville, the scene of the 1992 Winter Olympics. It's then got some heartbreaking climbs, including a Category 1 to finish at the top of an alpine village with only 600 inhabitants. La Tourcière, it is going to be a heartbreaker. Wait and see if Cadel Evans can make up some time on Bradley Wiggins. He couldn't do it in the overnight stage. Let's have a look at the stage 10 highlights.
Day 1 of 3 in the Swiss Alps as riders made their way mostly up a 194-kilometre journey.
Looks like you're in testings, doesn't it, as they start to zigzag the way around all those corners.
Wardrobe malfunctions aside, it was largely a drama-free stage. Despite a number of breakaways, overall leader Bradley Wiggins and our own Cadel Evans stayed cool among the peloton as French cyclist Thomas Vauclair won the gruelling stage.
I've never seen a sprint quite as slow as this.
Earlier, Wiggins' Aussie teammate Michael Rogers suffered a tyre puncture, but he recovered to team with compatriot Richie Porte, allowing Wiggins to keep his 1 minute 53-second buffer over Evans.
They make my job so much easier because, Richie did the whole climb virtually on the front.
Green Edge rider Matt Goss won the intermediate sprint, closing the gap on green jersey leader Peter Sagan.
I try hold on green jersey. For now I have green jersey, no Matthew Goss.
One mistake and you can close 40 points, 50 points. There's 60 points on the road every day, 65 points on the road every day. So, anything can happen.
So Orica Green Edge's Matt Goss just being able to eke back a couple of points on Peter Sagan for the sprinters' green jersey. We'll wait and see what unfolds tonight. It is going to be one of the toughest stages yet.
Cadel Evans is hoping to pinch some time back off leader Bradley Wiggins when the Tour de France continues through the Swiss Alps, and that occurs tonight. Evans failed to gain any ground on Wiggins during stage 10, the most brutal trek so far.
Day 1 of 3 in the Swiss Alps as riders made their way mostly up a 194-kilometre journey.
Looks like you're in testings, doesn't it, as they start to zigzag the way around all those corners.
Wardrobe malfunctions aside, it was largely a drama-free stage. Despite a number of breakaways, overall leader Bradley Wiggins and our own Cadel Evans stayed cool among the peloton as French cyclist Thomas Vauclair won the gruelling stage.
I've never seen a sprint quite as slow as this.
Earlier, Wiggins' Aussie teammate Michael Rogers suffered a tyre puncture, but he recovered to team with compatriot Richie Porte, allowing Wiggins to keep his 1 minute 53-second buffer over Evans.
They make my job so much easier because, Richie did the whole climb virtually on the front.
Green Edge rider Matt Goss won the intermediate sprint, closing the gap on green jersey leader Peter Sagan.
I try hold on green jersey. For now I have green jersey, no Matthew Goss.
One mistake and you can close 40 points, 50 points. There's 60 points on the road every day, 65 points on the road every day. So, anything can happen.
Now to tonight's stage, and it starts in Albertville, the scene of the 1992 Winter Olympics. 148 kilometres later, it finishes in a tiny alpine village of only 600 people called La Tourcière. There's a couple of heartbreaking climbs on the way, including a huge incline over 9% on the way to the finish line. Can Cadel Evans make up some time on Bradley Wiggins? We'll wait and find out. Ian Cohen covering the Tour de France, 10 News.
Cadel Evans will again take to the mountains tonight, trying to chip away his frustrating deficit for the Tour de France yellow jersey. Ian Cohen is living the highs of French life over there. Ian, is tonight the night for Cadel, do you think?
Well, absolutely living the highs, because we're up on top of one of two of only 5 mountaintop finishes. The mountain stage is, of course, very important to Cadel Evans, where hopefully he can start to chip into, as you said, Bradley Wiggins' lead of 1 minute 53 at the moment. He needs to get his BMC team organised. At the moment on the race, there is actually a breakaway of 2 riders, and then there's a number of different groups all the way back down to the peloton. So it's actually quite fractured at the moment, with the main heads of state, including Cadel Evans and Bradley Wiggins, 3 minutes behind the group at the moment, who is out in front. It's 148 kilometres here to the finish at La Toussier, and as far as he's concerned, he wants 2 absolute heartbreaking mountains. He wants to get the most of them, and then it's 18 Ks right up to this tiny little village here, Brad.
Ian, you're starting to sound quite French, actually. Now, I know you've been flat out. You may not have noticed, but the scenery around where you are, it's quite stunning, isn't it?
Absolutely stunning. You wouldn't believe it. Obviously, you can see the snow on the Alps over that shoulder there. And bear in mind, it's the middle of winter, so that's how high we are. And this little village here has got only 600 inhabitants normally, but has 310 kilometres worth of ski runs. It's one of the biggest in the area, so enormously popular here. And the scenery has just been extraordinary. The drive here was amazing. Lots of characters on the road, lots of Aussies on the road. We'll bring them to you in the late news later in the week or early next week as well, because there's some amazing people and some amazing sights. But I tell you what, Cadel Evans wants to get tout de suite to La Toussier, and then we'll all be happy about that.
Yeah, not quite sure what you said, and I think the altitude's going to his head. I think he said winter. Winter here, of course.
Summer there.
Summer there. Looks beautiful too.
Cadel Evans will need a minor miracle to win this year's Tour de France after losing valuable time to leader Bradley Wiggins during last night's brutal stage in the Alps. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the race for 10 News and has more on Cadel's nightmare in the mountains.
Yes, you're right. The title defence for Cadel Evans is now very much on the ropes, and he could be in for more pain tonight. It's a 226-kilometre stage, the longest stage on the tour, and Friday the 13th might be unlucky if indeed Team Sky decide to turn the screws on Team BMC. There's 2 very steep climbs in the first 80 Ks. It then flattens out before a final little pinch into the finish line at St John de Marianne. Now, for Cadel Evans, obviously stage 11 was really where he was brought undone. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Down and all but out. An exhausted Cadel Evans barely able to walk or talk after a taxing stage in the Alps, which looks certain to end his title defence.
Cadel Evans is looking to be in trouble here.
Evans cracked on a steep climb 6 kilometres from the finish. He lost more than a minute to leader Bradley Wiggins and now trails the yellow jersey leader by 3 minutes 19.
You believe the title defence is still alive?
It's getting more and more complicated. More than 3 minutes is complicated, knowing also that you have the time trial at the end. That disappointed, of course. I think that when you are here to defend the title like this, but we have done great until now.
Stage 11 was the most picturesque so far, and while most of the riding was done uphill, competitors certainly struggled just as much going down. Evans made an early attempt to catch Wiggins off guard.
There's Cadel. That's the attack. That was the plan, because he's put TJ up the road, and now Cadel Evans has launched an attack.
But Team Sky was too strong, reeling him in with ease. Cadel now 4th overall, the stage won by Frenchman Pierre Rolland.
So it looks like more alpine stages are awaiting for Cadel Evans, and Bradley Wiggins, of course, is very much in the box seat now. We'll wait and see how it unfolds tonight.
Well, the Tour de France has captivated millions, but none more so than the fans that line the picturesque course. Every day they are out in force, and our own Ian Cohen joined the sideline celebrations.
This is a hidden gem of the Tour de France that only the locals get to see. It's not televised, but for over 80 years has been almost as popular as the race itself, if not more.
Vive le Tour de France!
At the start and the finish, and all parts in between, it's a 45-minute long extravaganza of advertising with typical French flair.
C'est super sympa, il fait beau, le soleil est là, voilà.
And if you know Parlez-vous français, I think this is what she meant to say.
It's very, very good. Thank you.
The overexcited models are stunning. The experience, a sensory overload. This parade is absolutely amazing. It's almost endless. There's 180 cars and over 600 people involved on the road every day. And the sponsors pay between $300,000 and $600,000 just to get their vehicles involved. But more importantly for these people and the folks in the towns and the cities, they give away 15 million free products throughout the tour. The advertising caravan debuted in 1930 and has built a unique tradition, with 39% of spectators turning up just to see it and not the race. Even the voice of cycling impressed.
This is the jamboree. This is the Tour de France that brings together the whole world, and not just the world of cycling anymore.
The cars and the floats and everything of all shapes and sizes doing as many kilometres as the riders and getting bang for your euro. Ian Cohen in France, 10 News.
It was a day of high drama at the Tour de France, with Aussie Matt Goss stripped of points for a sprint interference at the finish. Officials ruling Goss deviated off his line in his battle for 6th place on stage 12. They say he affected Peter Sagan's chance to beat the Aussie.
Definitely moves off his line there.
I definitely moved in off my line a little bit, but I don't think that I stopped his sprint at all. I think it was a bit of a combination of we both had our heads down.
I really didn't think it was enough to warrant a disqualification. Absolutely not. Now, the shame of it is it effectively ends the competition. That makes it virtually impossible to get back in contention.
British rider David Miller won the stage, his first Tour stage win since his doping suspension in 2004. The overall standings haven't changed. Bradley Wiggins retains the yellow jersey after finishing in the peloton. So too Cadel, he's in 4th. Well, the Tour returns to the high mountains tonight, and Cadel Evans is bracing himself to somehow break clear from race leader Bradley Wiggins. Ian Cohen is our man doing it tough in France. Ian, Cadel continues to look for time, even in last night's sprinters stage.
Yeah, and he'll need to find some more time, you would think, today. Hopefully he can. Today's stage runs 191 k's from here in beautiful Lamoux to across into the Pyrenees, so he glanced in there. There's 2 Category 1 climbs, and Cadel Evans will need to make his move. He tried valiantly yesterday. The final brutal climb, 30 k's from the finish line, was so tough. It was first gear for my car. That was tough enough, but Bradley Wiggins is dealing with Cadel Evans. He's treating all of his attacks pretty much with scant regard.
Cadel just sort of accelerated with Jürgen, and then we came up to him, and you know the road gets quite narrow, and I think it was just more the safest place to be, because when we bunch like that, and you're on the sides, there's some crazy people out there, so I think it's just more of a safety thing rather than an attack.
Now, Wiggins has been so dominant, so too have the Brits. 4 of the British Olympic team have won stages here, including Froome, Cavendish, Miller and, of course, Wiggins. As for the Aussies, though, not going so well. Brett Lancaster involved in a bit of a spill again yesterday, and Orica Greenedge have called off the race for the green jersey. They've finished in spots 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. They're yet to chase that maiden win here in France. Let's hope maybe it can come in the coming days, but it is going to be another very tough one. Andre Greipel and Peter Sagan, of course, were the ones that fought out the sprint battle, with Andre Greipel winning that one, and between them they've got half a dozen stage wins, so Sagan and Greipel have certainly been dominant. As far as the Australians are concerned, as I said, Orica Greenedge still chasing that stage win. We'll wait and find out. We'll have more details for you tomorrow, Rob, but another monster stage ahead.
You bet. Ian, thank you.
A furious Cadel Evans says he hopes karma will come to those who dangerously scattered tacks on the 14th stage at the Tour de France. Reporter Ian Cohen joins us live from Summerton in France. And Ian, what are organisers saying about yesterday's sabotage?
Well, Stephen, it's amazing because organisers, like everyone here, are pretty well shell-shocked to the fact that this could happen. But when you have a look at the crowds that are sometimes 4 and 5 deep, the way they can get so close to the riders, it's almost a surprise that nothing like this has happened before at the Tour de France. But the tacks were laid out on the road on the final summit. And I spoke with John Lalong, who is Cadel Evans' director sportif, basically his coach, and he showed me the tack that he actually pulled out of one of Cadel Evans' punctures. Now, Cadel Evans had 3 3 particular punctures, and John Lalong was just amazed that he managed to get through it. There has been a police investigation launched, and Jean-Francois Pichot, he said that really we were lucky to escape with just one rider breaking a collarbone. So extraordinary scenes here. It was quite amazing. The riders unified, and let's hope we don't see it again. But everyone here is amazed that something like this has happened on the world's biggest bike race. Stage 15, that goes from Samartan to Pau, but stage 14 centred around just one thing.
What began as a relaxing 14th stage turned into chaos 24 kilometres from the finish.
Oh, Evans has had a flat tyre at the top of the climb.
Evans with a rear tyre puncture. His teammates and the BMC team car nowhere to be seen.
Cadel Evans is losing a huge amount of time here.
Further investigation revealed tacks had been thrown onto the road just before the summit of the last climb.
3 punctures. Yeah. All tacks, I think. Nails, protesters or some kind-hearted people on the road trying to ruin my season.
I don't know what the word I have to use for this, but it's criminal because it's a lot of risk already for the riders in the downhill, and the crashes were happening today, and all the risks that they were taking with this was pretty insane.
Evans was forced to stop on 3 separate occasions, but overall leader Bradley Wiggins and the peloton graciously slowed to allow Evans to catch up.
The stage wind had gone, we finished the climb, no one had attacked or got away, and there was nothing left in the bike race really, so it just seemed the honourable thing to unite a little bit, and no one wants to benefit through somebody else's misfortunes.
Hopefully in life, karma comes around.
Did it make the descent very treacherous though, because you were always looking out for these things?
No, you know, at 70k an hour you can't see tacks on the road, but well, my main thing was it just happened to me 3 times and at crucial moments.
Luis Leon Sanchez was the strongest rider of the breakaway, winning the stage. Wiggins and Evans finished on the same time, with Cadel still 3 minutes and 19 seconds back in 4th place. At the Tour de France, Ian Cohen, 10 News.
A furious Cadel Evans says he hopes karma will come to those who dangerously scattered tacks on the 14th stage at the Tour de France. Reporter Ian Cohen joins us now from France. Ian, what are organisers saying about this dreadful sabotage?
Well, Brad, organisers, pretty much like everyone here, are absolutely shell-shocked. This has happened at one of the great bike races in the world. It's almost a surprise it hasn't happened earlier, though, because the crowds get so close to the riders. They're 4 and 5 deep. A police investigation has been launched. And have a look at this vision. This is John Lalong showing me the tack that he pulled out of Cadel Evans' rear tyre on one of the punctures. Amazing scenes, and obviously all around stage 14, centred around one thing.
What began as a relaxing 14th stage turned into chaos 24 kilometres from the finish.
Oh, Evans has had a flat tyre at the top of the climb.
Evans with a rear tyre puncture. His teammates and the BMC team car nowhere to be seen.
Cadel Evans is losing a huge amount of time here.
3 punctures. Yeah. All tacks, I think. Nails, protesters or some kind-hearted people on the road trying to ruin my season.
Evans was forced to stop on 3 separate occasions, but overall leader Bradley Wiggins and the peloton graciously slowed to allow Evans to catch up.
So it just seemed the honourable thing to unite a little bit, and no one wants to benefit through somebody else's misfortunes.
Hopefully in life, karma comes around.
Luis Leon Sanchez was the strongest rider of the breakaway, winning the stage. Wiggins and Evans finished on the same time, with Cadel still 3 minutes and 19 seconds back in 4th place.
But as you can see, the fun of the fair continues behind me here at the Tour de France. Today's stage, Samartan to Pau, 158 kilometres. Let's hope no tax on the road this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you. Thanks to Ian Cohen there live from the Tour de France. Well,
Green Edge rider Brett Lancaster became the 3rd Australian rider to withdraw from the Tour de France overnight. Defending champion Cadel Evans remains 4th behind Bradley Wiggins, with Evans hoping the Tour's final rest day will help him recharge the batteries. Ian Cohen is covering the race.
Yes, you're right. Tonight is a rest day here at the Tour de France, and for Team BMC, they're certainly going to be putting the feet up. If Cadel Evans is any chance to attack Bradley Wiggins in the Pyrenees stages, there are going to be some torturous climbs, and they loom in the coming days. Cadel Evans actually didn't even speak to the media at the end of stage 15. He rode straight through to the team hotel. We're hoping to hear from Bradley Wiggins overnight and also Orica Green Edge, but they had the disappointment of losing Brett Lancaster. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Stage 15 took riders 158 kilometres along the foothills of the Pyrenees. There were no steep climbs to worry about, although that didn't stop spectators going up.
Nice way to watch the bike race and get a little bit of attention.
A five-man breakaway split, which drove the peloton bananas. Cadel Evans and Bradley Wiggins both stayed out of trouble, but pedalled at a snail's pace. Perec Fredrigo went on to win the stage. He's the fourth Frenchman to taste success at this year's race. Evans and Wiggins finished in the main group, the gap still 3 minutes 19. Aussie Brett Lancaster, retiring from the race after 3 separate crashes, eventually took their toll.
Like I said, I wanted to go to Paris with Orica Greenedge. It's first ever thing for an Aussie team, and it's not going to happen.
Australian team Orica Greenedge still holding out hope of claiming a stage win.
The 2 stages here in the Pyrenees are very, very challenging stages, and then we'll put someone in the break if we can with the winning Albacino Guerin.
So as Matt White said, there is certainly plenty of racing ahead. It's not going to be tonight though. We're going to have to wait until the Pyrenees for stage 16.
Team Radio Shack's future at the Tour de France is under a cloud after Luxembourg rider Frank Schleck was booted off the team following a positive drug test. Reporter Ian Cohen is covering the Tour for 10 years, and Ian, Schleck is one of the biggest names in the sport, so this must have come as a shock.
Yes, unfortunately it absolutely did. Now the news broke here around about 10 o'clock last night. It certainly hit the Tour very, very hard. Of course, everyone descended on the team hotel trying to get comment from either Frank Schleck or indeed team management. By that time he was already at the local police station being questioned, and these pictures show Schleck being whisked away. Now, to give you some background, Schleck was drug tested after stage 13 last Saturday. That was Bastille Day. The sample came back positive for zipamide, a banned diuretic which can act as a masking agent for other drugs. Riders also use it to lose weight. Frank Schleck finished third behind brother Andy and our own Cadel Evans in last year's Tour and was 12th in the standings this year. He's now been kicked out of the race by his team Radio Shack. That's, of course, the same outfit of 7-time Tour winner Lance Armstrong, who himself is subject to ongoing doping investigations. Now, in terms of the race, it moves into the beautiful Pyrenees. There's 2 stages there in the coming days, but again, the Tour has been dominated for all the wrong reasons, and we'll have more for you on this breaking story in late news. I'll talk to you then.
Ian Cohen reporting.
Tash, we start tonight with yet another drug scandal from the Tour de France. Ian Cohen joins us from France. Ian, yet another high-profile cyclist has failed a doping test.
Yeah, it's amazing, Brad, isn't it? By now you would have thought we would just about be through it, but Frank Schleck, who of course came third to Cadel Evans and behind his brother Andy just last year, has tested positive to a diuretic. Now, the test was taken on Bastille Day, which was last weekend. It was revealed to him last night over here, and he was taken to the police station. He says he voluntarily went there, but obviously the police have become involved as well after what they're calling an adverse analytical finding. So there was scenes out last night as everyone was scrambling to try and find more information. He has been withdrawn from the race to prepare for his defence. He can get the B sample tested, and we'll wait and see what happens for that. The team arrived at the start today. Obviously plenty of activity around the team bus. He was in 12th position, some 9 minutes behind Bradley Wiggins, and as I said, was third behind his brother Andy and Cadel Evans. Jens Voigt, who is a teammate of him at Radio Shack, an experienced rider, he said everyone was shell-shocked.
What consequences it will have or it could have, and how we keep going in this situation. Yeah, it's, as you can imagine, it's a pretty tough and difficult situation.
Yeah, so certainly tough for Radio Shack as well. Pretty tough for all the riders today. It's 32 degrees here at the moment. Need a surfboard, but instead we're in the Pyrenees. 197 kilometres is today's stage. There's a couple of Category 1 climbs, including the famous Col de Tourmalet. As far as the riders are concerned, they reckon it is absolute torture. Have a listen to Simon Gerrans.
Well, I find the Pyrenees much tougher than the Alps, actually. They're generally quite a bit steeper. As a mountain range in general, but at the same time you get plenty of support. A lot of the Basque fans come up to the Pyrenees, so there's great crowds to support along the way.
So will Cadel Evans attack? We'll wait and find out. Bradley Wiggins, of course, is the man in yellow. Brad, I'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Good on you, Ian. You can look for the surf. You're not going to find any. Ian Cohen reporting there from France.
Cadel Evans' dream of back-to-back Tour de France titles ended with stomach cramps in the Pyrenees last night. Ian Cohen is covering the race for 10 years, and Ian, things won't get any easier for Evans tonight.
Yes, you're right. There's going to be more pain in the Pyrenees tonight as the riders travel through beautiful villages like this and then up some heartbreaking climbs. There are 5 absolute monsters in tonight's stage. How's Cadel Evans going to go into them? Is he going to put the feet up on the handlebars? Who knows, because he got smashed by Bradley Wiggins yesterday. He has declared that his tour is over and the title defence is finished.
Oh yeah, I think I had a few stomach issues just before the race, and you know, when you have it 2 hours before the race, there's not a lot you can do. Yeah, I didn't think it would affect me in the race, but obviously that's not my normal level, and it's pretty much Tour de France over for me. Yeah, you have to be optimistic, but also you have to be realistic. And obviously this year things haven't been coming together. The year's not over, but certainly you know, the retirement present I want to give to George Hincapie this year is the hope and wish for that is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you heard it's a lot of traffic. We have to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cadel.
That last voice you heard is George. He's BMC's media manager and he's hardly away from Cadel Evans at any time. BMC, though, they knew the writing was on the wall.
Maybe the heat was getting to him, but I mean, he looked fine up until the Aspen, and then on the Aspen he just started getting dropped.
OK, let's get to the racing and have a look at stage 16.
Cadel Evans had fought off fatigue for more than a fortnight. Last night, he finally cracked.
Cadel Evans is in trouble on the penultimate climb in the Pyrenees.
Evans' BMC teammates tried in vain to salvage the title defence. They helped him bridge the gap to Bradley Wiggins once, but ongoing stomach cramps took their toll as Evans was dropped again.
His dream of defending his Tour de France championship from last year will go out of the window in the Pyrenees.
30-degree temperatures affected spectators and competitors alike. Frenchman Thomas Vogler won the stage, Evans finishing well back. He's now 7th overall, 8 minutes and 6 seconds behind Wiggins. Covering the Tour de France, Ian Cohen, 10 News.
Well, Cadel Evans concedes he's got no hope at all of winning this year's Tour de France, unfortunately. His dream of back-to-back titles ended with stomach cramps in the Pyrenees. Evans losing a further 5 minutes to race leader Bradley Wiggins.
Cadel Evans had fought off fatigue for more than a fortnight. Last night, he finally cracked.
Cadel Evans is in trouble on the penultimate climb in the Pyrenees.
Evans' BMC teammates tried in vain to salvage the title defence. They helped him bridge the gap to Bradley Wiggins once, but ongoing stomach cramps took their toll as Evans was dropped again.
His dream of defending his Tour de France championship from last year will go out of the window in the Pyrenees.
Yeah, I didn't think it would affect me in the race, but obviously that's not my normal level, and it's pretty much Tour de France over for me. Yeah, you have to be optimistic, but also you have to be realistic, and obviously this year things haven't been coming together.
Maybe the heat was getting to him, but I mean, he looked fine up until the Aspen, and then on the Aspen he just started getting dropped.
30-degree temperatures affected spectators and competitors alike. Frenchman Thomas Vogler won the stage, Evans finishing well back. He's now 7th overall, 8 minutes and 6 seconds behind Wiggins.
Now to tonight's stage, and there's certainly going to be more pain in the Pyrenees. 143 kilometres, admittedly, some of it through beautiful villages like this, but plenty up high mountains. There's 5 heartbreaking climbs on stage 17. Covering the Tour de France, Ian Cohen, 10 News.
Well done. Unfortunately, there will be no repeat of last year's heroics by Cadel Evans. That was good. Hey, Ian Cohen joins us from France. Ian, even Evans concedes his hopes are pretty much done and dusted. This is very disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Sounds like you're having a good time, though. But for Cadel Evans, obviously, the Pyrenees have really been a source of pain for him. They've been absolutely brutal, and so too have the Sky team, Bradley Wiggins as well. They really broke him on one climb overnight and then buried him on another, and he is now 8 minutes behind the leader's yellow jersey. So his tour is over. He's declared that. He was very emotional when I spoke to him at the bus yesterday. As far as Orica Green Edge go, well, they've got a rider in the breakaway at the moment who's 2 minutes up the road, Peter Weaning. There's an 8-man breakaway, so fingers crossed for them. But they've also set themselves for Friday's stage, tomorrow's stage, and also for Sunday, which would be an historic win on the Champs-Élysées. You can see the camper vans behind me. We're on the Périgord, which is the final climb here in the Pyrenees, and this rolling festival of the road is just amazing. The size and scale of it, haven't seen anything like this before. There's 15, 16 million spectators watch it as it rolls along the road. There's 100 TV channels here broadcasting in a huge TV compound, and as you can see, there are spectators that just line it all the way, some of those wonderful characters that we see. So, Brad, we're going to follow it all the way to the Champs-Elysees. Let's hope maybe we can score an Australian win. But next time I speak to you guys on the late news, it'll be from London. I'll be crossing over there for the Olympics and more. Obviously, fantastic, hopefully, road cycling to come with 5 of the guys from here that will be representing Australia wearing the green and gold. Brad?
Yeah, terrific. We'll talk to you in London. A great job there at the Tour de France. Thanks very much to Ian Cohen.
Bradley Wiggins all but wrapped up the Tour de France last night, tightening his grip during a brutal mountain stage. Reporter Ian Cohen joins us live from France. Ian, Cadel Evans is 7th and out of contention, but can we now claim Wiggins as one of our own?
Stephen, nothing like a bit of late bandwagon jumping, is there? But you're quite right. Bradley Wiggins is half Australian. His father, Gary, was actually a 1 kilometre time trial specialist back at home, won the national title there, then came here to Europe and raced in the 6-day classics. His Mary met his wife, who was English-born, and Bradley Wiggins was actually born in Belgium. But yes, he is half Australian, and he's certainly doing very well at the moment. He has been estranged from his father, who passed away in 2008 for about the last 15 years, though. But as for last night stage, it was all about Alejandro Valverde. He actually stormed to the front, got a lead of 2 minutes over the chasing group, but in the end only won by 19 seconds, so that was good for the Spaniard. Wiggins and Froome, well, Wiggins leads his teammate Chris Froome by 2 minutes and 5 seconds. There is a lot of talk of maybe that there's not so much harmony in the Sky team, but they're certainly getting the job done. Now, Cadel Evans, he's really going to have to focus on the Olympics from now. His tour is done and dusted. He's 9 minutes 57 seconds behind the leader, and his title defence is over. Bradley Wiggins, of course, is accepting all of the plaudits. He's been in yellow now for a very long time. Sky have been super dominant, and when I spoke to him at the end of yesterday's stage, he admitted to me that it was for the first time that it actually sunk in that he was going to be the Tour champion.
The minute we went over the Peyresourde, I knew that perhaps I just won the Tour, because I saw Nibali had cracked. I allowed myself at that point to drift, really, and thinking of lots of things.
Tell us about the emotion. Tell us about the feeling. What's in the guts now?
Well, I mean, these are the stages that everyone said, you know, perhaps I would struggle, would not win the Tour with these kind of real Pyrenean stages, and I've passed those tests.
Okay, Liv, we've lost audio.
No, you're back.
No, we've lost Ian, but anyway, great report and half his luck being over there. Bradley Wiggins completed the final stage of the Tour de France without a hiccup to secure Britain's first ever yellow jersey. Reporter Ian Cohen is in Paris with a wrap-up of the last day. Ian.
It was history in the making here at the Champs-Elysees in more ways than one. Orica Greenedge becoming the first Australian team to complete the Tour, and Bradley Wiggins, the first British rider to claim the leader's yellow jersey. Half Australian, remember. I spoke to him as he made his way through the huge crowds here in Paris after he was crowned. Just take us through your feelings at the moment.
It's different to how I felt 24 hours ago, really, and I've had a day to soak it in yesterday, and today we were just 100% concentrating on the lead out for Cav, so obviously it was a different focus, and now I'm just trying to go in with the flow, getting pulled left and right, and it's not real at the moment.
He's absolutely dominated this race with a lead of over 3 minutes to his teammate Chris Froome, and while some other riders hit the turf, he worked very hard for Mark Cavendish, leading the team into the final sprint, the Manx missile collecting his 4th consecutive stage win on this famous street. And while there were celebrations there, clearly for the likes of Cadel Evans, he had a different taste and had time for family. Orica Greenedge, a unique place in history as the first Australian team to compete in the world's biggest bike race.
We have arrived, and every team has not only looked at what the riders have done, but also the support team. We're going to go away from this and come back next year a lot more experienced, and I'm sure that a little bit more success.
These young blokes still need a couple of old dogs around to teach them tricks, so yeah, probably do another one, I reckon.
So the Olympics now looms for many of these riders, but for the Tour de France next year at the same time, it will be celebrating its 100th edition.
Ian Cohen in Paris.